We got Gibson, the shop dog. Such a sweetie. Hi. Sweet thing. Yes, yeah, that's a sweetie.
You're right. There you go.
Well, if you got a dollar, well, just lousy down. Know that I got rhythm that could suit your budget fine. You can take on.
Hey, this is Patrick at Trusty Huckster Mercantile doing a little shop with me. I am in Naperville, Illinois, actually right at the heart of it, downtown Naperville, Illinois, visiting an antique store on top of a furniture store. The name of it escapes me right now, so I will make sure that I include that as I am in there. But I found a parking spot, shockingly, right across the street, so I'm super excited, hoping that is a good omen for a good day. So let's see what we've got in store. It looks like a unassuming furniture store, but on the top of the store is actually an antique shop. You can see a tiny little sign there that advertises it. I think it's relatively new, but we shall see what is in store. So I'm here at the Antiques of Naperville, downtown Naperville, Illinois, at the top floor of the Biedelman Furniture Building. And when you walk in, you see this fun display. Dr. Seuss getting a lot of attention lately. Not necessarily for the dictionary, but you know, you have all types of Dr. Seuss been around, and not all of it is fraught with the controversy that is encircling the 6 titles in the media right now. But this is a really fun way to showcase some games, they framed some board game covers. You know, if you find some boxes that just aren't in great shape, you can cut them down and suddenly you've just got a great, inexpensive display to frame yourself or get instant art. You know, have the safety dart collection, those illegal jarts that Fatbird Finds was talking about. Get the illegal box artwork and framed already for $20. So, instant art and gift memories. So in an earlier video, when I was at another store, I was highlighting their Weeping Gold collection, but not all gold is created equal. And so I wanted to showcase this as well. This is a pattern I'd seen before, all gold, detailed on the front, porcelain. This is Picard Porcelain, which I absolutely love. It's American made. It's kind of the same appearance and quality of Lenox. Sometimes I see a piece from a distance, it's hard to tell from on appearance which it is. But this is just a really cool gold detailed piece. Some great prices on it. The plate's only $12 for what would basically be the underplate or the charger. And then you've got the teapot with an absolutely gorgeous tray, and the tray is only $24. It's just one of those cases that it's not always the most common aesthetic. And so it doesn't always get the highest prices, but if you want impact for low price, this will give it to you. And hey, throw some little lobster claws into the mix. Always for fun. So here in the Midwest, milk pails and milk cans are pretty easy to come by. Don't necessarily pull high dollar amounts, but people like them. They look good in decor. But this is not a milk can. And this really caught my attention. So this one, zoom in a little bit closer here. You can kind of see on the cover, it is a 5-gallon liquid measure, property of Standard Oil Company in Indiana. So we've got what is probably one of the most industrial non-milk pails that I've seen. You've got this great locking mechanism on the top, which, there we go. So it's almost like a canning jar mechanism that springs open. And you've got a pretty high power lid because you would not want this to be spilling as you were delivering 5 gallons of oil. I've actually been looking for a milk pail for my front porch just to kind of add to a little vignette there, but this is might be calling my name. It's calling it softly because it's $120, so more than a typical milk pail would sell for. But again, this isn't normal, and this is pretty cool. So it might be coming home with Trusty. As some of you know who've watched my channel in the past, a lot of what brought me to reselling vintage is actually theater. And this piece absolutely has me mesmerized, because if I were still directing Anti-Mame, which was just canceled, I wouldn't have gone to the hassle of something like this, but this is exactly, if you know the movie Anti-Mame, there's a scene where she's at an old-fashioned switchboard getting overwhelmed by it. This is the embodiment of that switchboard. Could this be any cooler? You've got this great industrial look, you know, not functional at this point anymore, but a little bit more, maybe even updated with the regular handset as opposed to the headset and microphone. But even, it's only $418 on sale for $330. I mean, this is a statement piece if I've ever seen it. I would have rented it for the theater if I needed to, but it's just this great seated desk piece. They've got all kinds of display items on it, so, you know, if you got big enough space, this would look awesome, and definitely attract everyone's attention. Absolutely loving it. I think either Jeffrey or George showed one of these in the past. This is a Turner flamingo print. I want to say it was Jeffrey because I know he collects the flamingos, but I think that maybe the art was actually shown by George and he referenced Jeffrey. But I think what they had was the print, but check out the frame that this one got framed in. It's got the cutout where you've got the golded corners. I'm sorry you've got the glare coming in from the back window, so you can go over to the side. But it's open, and so oddly, the chain that hangs it, you actually see it. Kind of a cool piece, not really to my aesthetic. $260. Definitely a statement, and if you've got that aesthetic going on in your living room, some pale flamingos in a really gilded frame could be yours. And if you want to finish off that flamingo look, just scan down a little bit and you've got some shell lamps with flamingo decor. So we have mid-century Daytona Beach seashell lamp, $125 for that one, and $68 for that one. So that's more of a single level. This one has the penthouse on the top. Never seen anything like that. Again, it's a look. So I thought this was a fun piece on a couple of levels. One, it's just kind of interesting. Got a fox in a top hat hugging a gator. But you've got what looks to be a giant orange. And doing a little bit of digging into this one, it's very well marked on the bottom. It's actually a Jim Beam piece. And I've carried several Jim Beam decanters, but this one clearly would never have been a decanter. It'd be kind of hard to, hold anything in that. So doing a little bit of research on this, it is a swizzle stick or straw holder for your bar top. And just recently I had in my live sale a coconut, which I still think was a bowling ball, and the person who bought it was going to be putting their swizzle sticks in it. So I just thought that something actually being designed by Jim Beam to hold swizzle sticks is kind of a cool piece. It's only $26 and really neat statement piece, depending on your bar motif. It was part of a Jim Beam convention. I think it was from 1984. Kind of a cool piece, neat to find, and neat to see something other than a decanter being put out by Jim Beam. I always love checking out to see how the vintage china cabinets and curio cabinets are displayed, because you always find some fun things, and then you find the horrifying. So, right there with you, Misty. That thing is evil, and clowns must be destroyed. It's always great to see old tin toys, but even greater when you find them in such amazing condition. So this is an old See and Spell from Wolverine Supply, and in general it's somewhat rudimentary because you're dealing with just little pictures and then you flip them open to see the word, so it's kind of to practice not only recognizing the word, but I guess spelling it as well. And it is absolutely functional. So you push down the little dial, it spins, and when you let go, it locks into place. So you see a cow and a bear, I guess. Hey, look, that cow and a bear. Now, I didn't always get it right because I flipped that one and oh, look, it's a mouse. But, it's older, so they were going to learn how to spell rat, and I guess rat fit better in the little window. But great condition. Not evidently, did a little research, not particularly rare. Several of them are listed on eBay, but not any of them were listed shown in such good condition. So neat piece, $38 price tag, best looking tin toy on the table, and kind of a fun little addition for a kid's room or for a vignette, for even on education. Okay, at the owner's suggestion, I found this one sitting in the back of this booth, and going to try and demo it without breaking it like I did last time. But it's this, we're trying to decide whether it was a produced piece or if it was more of a folk art. The elephant looks really well done, but the rest of it's fairly rudimentarily done. So you get the little clown that's on the back. He's on this little lever. Let me back up so hopefully you can see it. Okay, well, he did a little flip there, which he wasn't supposed to do. He's actually supposed to... Okay, well, you're getting a little show here because he's not doing what he's supposed to do, but he's doing something. There you go. So it actually works, and it didn't break that last time the clown went flying off. So, you know, some of this stuff, I wouldn't recommend playing with things like this without the owner's permission, because this is a $220 toy. So I was horrified when the clown went flying off the first time I tested it, but I got it to work that time, and it was definitely worth the show. That was a lot of fun. So, as we all know, I am the trusty huckster. But I am fascinated by the huckster life in general. I do not collect these items. I have no interest in collecting these items because it is a weird yet wonderful world. But here is the Renew Life treatment system that just has quackery written all over it. So it's not snake oil sales, but we are dealing with what appears to be electric shock treatments. So we've got the physician's directions for Renew Life treatments. Let's see, there was some toward the back. The care of the electrodes, strength of the current, you know, so you don't lobotomize somebody. So let's see, if you've got gray hair, maybe you need to pay attention to this one. Use electrode number 2, keeping it in constant motion over the scalp. At first for 5 to 7 minutes. So when you're like really bored and have nothing else to do. You can treat eye diseases. Look at that. Use an eye electrode. Okay, that is actually horrifying. But of course not for more than 3 minutes each day, because, you know, you wouldn't want to overdo a good thing. So it's a very complete set. I mean, I'm assuming, but it looks like all of the individual little brackets and stuff seem to have things in them. And then you've got the devices. I wasn't 100% sure what this one does because it's not plugged into anything. So I'm sure it adapts somehow. I'm not sure if it's to hear something. I have no idea what that one does. But you've got the industrial strength power cord. And they had it listed as a quack machine for $215 on sale for $175. So definitely a conversation piece. Definitely sold by a huckster, but not for me because I am the trusty huckster. Airline ephemera tends to do a little bit better when the airlines are no longer in service. You know, they tend to become a true collectible. But even though United Airlines is still very much in existence, what transcends the popularity or collectability of this is the era in which we're dealing with this. This was a calendar put out by United during World War II. So into the new day of freedom for which we fight. So it talks a little bit about the era, and as you come down, what this actually is, it's a wall calendar where the calendar portion itself is down here. So it started in December 42, so this was actually for 1943. What I really like about this, and I'm making an assumption here, but what I really like about this is that this calendar portion is actually tied in here, and it actually goes all the way into the back. So I actually think this might have been something that they designed that they could have done this every year, so that when you were done with this one, you would rip it off, but you could still keep this beautiful frame, you know, maybe you frame it or something, but you could keep this beautiful print hanging on your wall, and you would just change the calendar portion. So I'm assuming that this is its original because it matches, you know, the summary talking about it's during World War II. So even though it is, you know, it's quote-unquote just United Airlines, it's collectible in and of itself as a cross-collectible because it's also an interwar item capturing a very specific time in American history. So one of the best things about coming to a high-quality shop like this is basically coming across things you didn't even know existed. So this caught my attention because you've got what appears to be an original Sears Roebuck and Company catalog. It is dated from 1946. Now, some of these were done as reissues in the 70s, you know, kind of as a collector's item. This, I'm going to assume, is the original from the 40s. So this is something that Jamie from Mid-Century Modern, she's, you know, goes through some of the old catalogs. She get a, you know, quick kick out of. So you got a deep chest freezer for $232. Man, that child could just disappear in that thing, couldn't she? So a fairly thick catalog, and that's, you know, interesting in and of itself. However, what I didn't know existed was this. It is a wall-mounted tin catalog holder. Keep our big catalog in this pocket, ready to consult as your needs arise. Now, I don't know if you hung this in your bathroom so you had some light reading while you were otherwise occupied, but you've got the factory, you know, showing there. Again, a local institution. It is a Chicago company. Most people know the Sears Tower, which of course did not come about until the 70s, which is now, well, it's called something else, but to true locals, it's always going to be the Sears Tower. It is, again, very thick because it holds that size of catalog. Now, catalog with the holder, it's $100. I'd say it's worth every penny. I'm not going to pick it up because I personally don't have interest in it and don't know what they would resell for. But like I said, didn't even know it existed, and this is kind of a fun little find here at the antique shop. So if you watched my deep dive with Kelley from Mossstone Story on golden books, little golden books, you know that not all little books are little golden books. And I've come across the Rand McNally, the Elf books. I've come across those before. You know, they kind of at first glance have the same look and shape. There's even the Rand McNally Tiny Elf book, Squirrel Twins Ride. But in looking at display, and I always like looking at the children's books because sometimes the graphics are good, or, you know, sometimes they pick them up in mass, so they sell them inexpensively. There ended up being this book, and it's actually one of three. There's actually two more that are right here. And it caught my attention. So it is Johnny Tractor and his pals, but it is a John Deere storybook for little folks. So I'm like, oh, okay, so maybe they licensed Golden Books or somebody to do it. So I opened it up. There's no real information on the first opening page, but you turn to the next page. The copyright is actually held by John Deere, which, again, John Deere is not particularly rare. It's an Illinois company, so it comes across fairly often. But more interesting is that it was illustrated by a John Deere staff artist. So this book was actually published by John Deere and maybe sold, I don't know, in stores or in their catalogs, you know, selling off their equipment. So I'm like, okay, so when were these things published? There's a little mark on the back, and it turns out that represents these were published in 1958. And in doing the research, discovered that this is actually a first edition. All three of these are first editions. They all have the gray tape on the label, and they're all stamped with the same product on the back. So there's currently one listed on eBay for $38, which seems a little high based on some of the comps that have sold when they were identified as first edition. So they're selling between $15 and $20 a piece on eBay. They're selling here for $12. So, you know, they're very good prices because here you don't have to pay for shipping. Not really enough in here for me to pick it up for resale, but just one more addition into the world of pseudo little golden books. This one with a local twist. Okay, Katie, I think this one's got your name on it. It's all shook up. It's a giant display record. I don't know if there's much age to it. It looks like an absolutely pristine condition, so it might be contemporary. But thought that's a fun one. If you had the wall space, that'd make a great addition. You have to drive to Chicago to get it, because I have a feeling shipping that one might be more expensive than the car ride. But another fun addition from the antique shop. As another example of something I've heard of but never seen, these are Illinois license plates from immediately after World War II. And at first glance, you may not think anything, you know, special about them. Unfortunately, you can't lift them up, so it's hard for you to tell. But maybe if I show them on the very side, you can see these are not metal. Since metal had been rationed, it was unavailable during the war. Even after the war, they were not issuing it for use in license plates. So what these license plates were made out of, in a very Illinois twist, soybeans. So both of these license plates are technically a paper, not even a paperboard material. But that's what it would be compared to. That is actually a soybean-based product. So there's one from 1946, so immediately after the war, and then they were still evidently doing it in 1947. These don't have the prices differentiated for the 46 or 47 are the same. It's $75 a piece. I've never seen them. I'd heard about them, but now I got to see one in person, and actually, this place is great about letting you actually handle some of the items. So like actually being able to pick this up and tell what the weight was, and how did soybeans get made into a license plate. And there you go. This is another snapshot of life that also happens to be from the middle of the war. Looks like somebody put this together and gave it as a gift. I don't know who it went to, but it came from Elaine. That's a weird way of spelling Elaine. Eileen Schwinghammer. Okay, that's like one of the most fun names ever. For Christmas in 1943. So somebody went through and created this photo book of movie stars. And some of them are it looks like maybe photos that you could have ordered through the mail, that are pre-printed, although that one looks like it's maybe came out of a magazine or something. It's very, very thin paper, but it does look like a photo. So it was designed to be cut out. This is the cover of the Roto magazine, 1944. Well, that's interesting. So it was given as a gift at Christmas in 1943, but one of the magazines 1944. So somebody's misremembering something. So maybe that was written at a later date. But regardless, this from the art, and clearly it's from the 40s. Have some cut out. I think that's Olivia de Havilland. We got Dorothy Lamour. Anne Shirley, Katherine Grayson, Shirley Temple, Carmen Miranda. There was one name that popped in here quite a bit. Betty Hutton. Trying to see, here it was. Diana Lynn. I don't know that name, but it pops in a lot. So I don't know if that was maybe a personal favorite, because that's not even a name I know. Here's two more for Diana Lynn that has their names written on there. So, and I find it interesting that they had to write the name, and that's the handwriting it's the same handwriting throughout the book. So somebody wrote that on there. But because there's no captions to say who it is, most of them have captions. So it was interesting that they did that. Irene Dunn. So just, this is just a lot of fun. Don't see a price tag on it. I'm sure it's more than I would want to pay, certainly for myself, or to be able to resell. But I just think that's another fun snapshot in time, and a cute little Scotty dog to boot. Soul Nate would be the first to tell you that not all companies can be Wedgwood, but some of them will try. So here's an attempt at, and actually a very nice attempt at, a Wedgwood Jasperware look. You've got the little cameo relief, done into the bottom of this ashtray. Has a really pretty gold wash in the crescents for the cigarette, as well as the gold trim. It is the raw bisque on the back, but at least in their credit, they're not trying to be Wedgwood. They're giving themselves full credit. So Thérode, I'm not familiar with that one. Limoges, France. So this came out of the Limoges region of France. Thérode would be the manufacturer, and they took what was a very attractive and popular design in Wedgwood Jasperware and adapted it for their own use. And you really can't accuse them of copyright infringement or anything, because they're all Greek neoclassic designs. So you're copying something that was originated 1,000 years ago. So actually a very attractive piece. Would not probably grace Soul Nate's collection, but interesting to see nonetheless. I share this next piece almost entirely out of coincidence, because I just yesterday, 2 days ago, sold a piece with the same design. So it has an orchid etched into it. That one was a small mint dish with dolphin feet. This one does not have the feet on it, but it does have the orchid etch. And assuming that that etch has not been copied by others, it looks identical to the Heisey piece that I sold, so I'm going to assume this is Heisey as well. It's a very high quality glass. It definitely has some weight to it. It's a very pretty divided relish dish. Flat bottom, again, not footed, but all of the etching is done on the bottom side so that the inside is smooth and easy to clean after you use it. It's a really attractive piece, and it's only $17, so it's one of those cases they're at the mercy of clear glass. Sometimes it's not as popular as colored glass, and doesn't always get the attention, but it's a beautiful high quality dish, and Heisey should sell for much more than $17. But you get examples like this one, which is gorgeous. This is a Bedside water decanter, but it has that a beautiful iridescent purple finish to it. Still has some etching. I have no idea who manufactured that one, but you can see that one gets $32 because you've got purple, and purple is popular. There's a pretty green one in the back there with a very pretty twisted stem, so a little compote, and that's only $12. So glass is a very good and inexpensive collectability. You know, if you look at, if you're purchasing for attractiveness or for design aesthetic, and then once you fill that collection, you can always increase it and improve it with higher quality pieces. But these will sure look pretty, whether you're starting with colors or clear. And as I finish up my time at the Antiques of Naperville antique shop, you know, I wouldn't be Trusty without highlighting my coasters. And so this is a set I'd never seen before. Unfortunately, I won't be picking these up for resale because they're priced very well, but they're very much priced at their value. But I showcase them because it's just a perfect example of there were times when, you know, everyone used coasters, particularly when they were playing bridge or their card games, as people were wont to do. So you can just, this is a really attractive brass base with the black and red enamel with all the suits of cards on there. They're all identical. Probably could use some cleaning up, you know, before going on display. But it's a complete set of 6, which it would be is rare enough. And all 6 is only $15, so it's actually a very good price. It's just not anything that I would buy for reselling. But I think they're super attractive, and again, just a good example of the items you can get at Antiques of Naperville. So just finished up at the Antiques of Naperville. Going home empty-handed, but had a great time, found some great items, and hope you enjoyed the video. If this is your first time on my channel, I hope you're a subscriber. Give the video a like, and check out some of my other Shop With Me videos that you'll find throughout my site. Thanks so much for joining me and putting your trust in Trusty Huckster. Bye-bye.
Well, show me a sign if you're wishing me to stay. Otherwise, I say goodbye, finish out the day. And that sunrise in the morning and you got nothing to say. Oh, that's when I'll be headed on my